Hello there, it's Eamon McAuley. I'm back with another wee talk about boxing. Uh, I remember being at St Gabriel's Secondary School, 1978 to 1982. Uh, there was a lad called Terry McGee, and he was a year older than me. And everyone looked up to Terry as he was a boxer. While all the other kids used to write on the walls and the blackboards the names of football teams, Terry would write the names of boxers. I remember on the notice board in the gym the names of Needham, Watt, Stracy, Hope, Magri, Kaylor, Batten, etc. I knew right away that these names had been wrote by Terry McGee, but I most certainly wasn't going to grass him up, nor was anybody else. I ended up joining the Sacred Heart Boxing Club in 1979, and I got to be friends with Terry. Terry was a great lad. Lovely manners, lovely way about him, very mature. Terry went to Wales in 1981 and he turned pro on his 18th birthday. He done very well in the pros and won an Irish light middleweight title. And Terry also boxed for the European title in Italy, losing to Gilbert Dele. He also had a great win over future British champion Wally Swift. Most of them boxers that Terry had wrote on the wall were managed and coached by Terry Lawless. Terry was based at the Royal Oak Bar, which had a gym above the bar. Lawless was assisted by Frank Black, George Francis, and Jimmy Tibbs. Between them, they produced 6 world champions. And that was in the days where you only had the WBA and WBC, and not so many weight divisions. It wasn't the ignominious mess that it is today. Boxing's on its knees. It's down. Proliferation of belts and it's shocking. Anyway, Lawless was also associated with Mickey Duff, Jarvis Astor, Mike Barrett, and Harry Levine. They effectively controlled British boxing, and they dealt primarily with the BBC, which gave rise to the famous relationship between Frank Bruno and Harry Carpenter. It was like the American version of Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali. They bounced off each other. Terry Lawless was known for being overprotective of his boxers. He treated the boxers like his sons. Lawless never boxed himself, but he died on Christmas Eve 2009 in Marbella, Spain. He was 76. We'd have dropped one of my pages. There we go. Franklin Roy Bruno was born on November the 16th, 1961. He boxed as an amateur for St Philip Game Boxing Club. Bruno won the ABA Senior Championships in 1980, and he turned pro with Terry Lawless in 1981, and big things were expected of him. Bruno was 6'3", and he was built like a brick shithouse, and he could punch like a mule. Bruno would go on to win 40 of his 45 fights, with 38 of them 40 wins by knockout. Every one of his fights was shown on TV, with most shown on BBC One, but the last few fights were shown on Sky Sports. Bruno won his first 21 fights in spectacular style. Then came a shock defeat against James Bonecrusher Smith in May 1984. Remember it well. Bruno was well ahead in the judges' cards when he got tired and he got caught in the last round getting KO'd. Smith would go on to win the WBA World Heavyweight title. Bruno came back with 6 wins against respected boxers. He also won the European crown with a KO over Sweden's Anders Eklund. He also KO'd former European champion and world title challenger Lucian Rodriguez in 1 round. Rodriguez had went the full way with champion Larry Holmes in 1983. Bruno then had a spectacular win over one of the top contenders, Jerry Coetzee, knocking Coetzee out in one round. In July 1986, Bruno challenged Tim Witherspoon for the WBA World Heavyweight title. Once again, Bruno was leading for much of the fight, but he ran out of steam and he was knocked out in the 11th round of a 12-round fight. So near, but yet so far. In my opinion, he fought a brave and courageous fight against a good boxer in Tim Witherspoon. Bruno had wins against James Tillis, Reggie Gross, George Gardner, Chuck Gardner and Joe Bugner. And in 1989, he challenged Mighty Mike Tyson for the undisputed heavyweight title. A nervous Bruno was on the canvas within 10 seconds. But he came back to wobble Tyson later in the round. Tyson's life then was a mess as he came into the fight. And all the old guard were gone. Customato, Jim Jacobs, both dead. Terry Atlas, Bill Clayton, Kevin Rooney, etc. gone after a bitter and acrimonious breakup involving Don King. Tyson finally caught up with Bruno in the 5th and ended the fight in impressive style, but it was most certainly not a vintage Tyson performance. But Bruno fought on and got stopped in another title shot by Lennox Lewis in round 7. Bruno was again ahead in the cards and was boxing beautifully until he got caught with a big wild Hail Mary of a left hook. So on went Bruno, but by this stage Terry Lawless, manager, coach and father figure, had left, and there were calls for Bruno to retire. But just like the Rocky films, there was always one more chance. Lennox Lewis then lost his title, getting stopped in the 2nd round in a shocker by Oliver McCall. McCall defended against an old Larry Holmes, winning a tight decision, and then he defended against Bruno at Wembley Stadium, London, Bruno's hometown. Bruno, knowing this was his last chance, boxed a great fight. Although he got hurt with an uppercut from McCall in the 11th, and he hung on for dear life in the 12th. Bleeding from the mouth, hanging on and desperately tired, he used his ring experience to survive the onslaught. He then heard the sweetest words that he ever heard in his life. And then knew. He should have retired after that, though, going out in a blaze of glory. But Bruno is well known for his love of money, and he couldn't resist a huge payday to fight a comebacking Mike Tyson. He was stopped by Tyson in the 3rd. Now, Bruno took a lot of stick from the British public and media. He was laughed at, ridiculed for being stupid and a poor boxer. The spitting image puppet was very offensive. I felt sorry for him. These taunts and insults probably led to Bruno being sectioned under the Mental Health Act in 2003. Bruno was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and criticism was aimed at the Sun newspaper, whose headline the next day read, "Bonkers Bruno locked up." Shocking, shameful, but what would you expect from them? The gutter press. Bruno admitted that cocaine abuse, which began in 2000, had contributed to his mental health problems. His marriage also broke up. God bless him. I sincerely hope Frank is in a good place these days and is doing well mentally, physically and spiritually. He is a good person. He was a great boxer in his day, and the guys who beat him, Witherspoon, Bone Crusher, Tyson and Lewis, knew that they were in a fight. They all felt the power of Frank. Thanks very much for listening to me. God bless you. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you soon.